All right, we are back. That means you are back. Episode number 97 of the Sons of UCF. As always, I am Adam, and I've got my good buddy UCF Mike with me this week. And we're going to take you through a roller coaster of a show. That's right. We've got a lot of ground to cover. We are so close to the season kicking off, and our job is to get you prepared. We're going to do that by a few things. One, Mike's weekly picks are back, so we'll tell you who's good in and around the American Conference so you know what to look out for as the season starts. We're also going to give you some headlines. Some people opted out. Has the schedule changed? You need to know the info. We've got the info. We will share that with you, including NFL nights and where they've fared. But the heart of the show today will be a depth chart breakdown. Mike and I will go position by position, and we will make predictions about the depth chart. So you're not going to miss that. A couple of surprises in there that we're maybe predicting things we're hearing. And so take a listen, and you tell us if you think that we got it all right. And then, obviously, Cow of the Week, right? So action-packed show. You're going to want to hear every single solitary morsel of it, as always. But before we do that, Mike, how are things with you, man? Happy holiday weekend. I know it's Labor Day weekend. Hopefully you and yours had a fun, relaxing weekend.
Yeah, things went great around here. Good time. Today is Labor Day. We had no work today. So a nice, relaxing day. Didn't do anything today. Just kind of relaxed. A couple things around the house. Watched some TV, and then got to talk to you now for the last couple hours.
Well, hold on. Did you say Labor Day? You know what that makes me think about, Mike?
Oh, boy.
UCF players that connote Labor Day. What do you got? Who are we going with here? We got anybody?
No, we're not doing this game. We suck at this game.
No, we're good at it. We got to have somebody, right? Anybody named Jobs? Good. No, hold on. Let me think.
We're good at it when we have time to think about it, and we plan it, which, last year, the first time we did it, I think, was Halloween, and then we did that before the show even started. We came up with a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
And then Thanksgiving, I think we did okay. Some obvious names. Then this year, we've just been horrible, man. We left Greg Lovelady out of Valentine's Day.
That happens.
That's the most obvious one, I think, ever. Up until last week, when we were talking about weather names, and we almost didn't put Storm Johnson in there.
Yeah. To be fair, we actually didn't. I had to edit that back in after we finished recording, so we actually didn't put it back. But come on, Labor Day. How hard could this be? I mean, what words? Work, job, vacation, off day. What do we got? Anything?
I've got nothing, man. I just told you. You got something?
I mean, I think football, basketball. We got to get anybody. Baseball players. I mean, somebody's got to, just think about like free time or time off or. Family time, vacation. I mean, what are the words coming with Labor Day? I don't know. Huh.
No, I'm drawing a complete blank right now.
How about offensive lineman? Tomorrow we are Kyle back at work. No, we're not. Okay.
Kyle back? We have a guy named Kyle back?
We sure do. Right now, number 64 on the roster. Check it out.
Then sure, that works.
All right, so we're Kyle back to work tomorrow. Okay.
But you know what? There is going to be an obvious name that we're completely whiffing on, and it'll probably be something. We've had a guy named Workman or something that I can't think of right now. I don't know.
Probably.
But we suck at this game. So I think from now on, we need to make a show rule where if we're going to do this game, we have to talk about it at least a day in advance and have something ready. Because when we try to do it off the cuff, we're no good.
Okay.
I wonder how people following along, listening to the show. How many of them were screaming in their cars? Like I'm sure last week a bunch of guys were. Somebody wrote on Twitter, they were just screaming at their radio, "Storm Johnson!"
Yeah,
but it must happen every time we do this game.
Yeah, we just need to figure out a way to keep playing this game until we find a holiday where Jake Hescock comes into play. But we haven't quite gotten there yet. So until we do, maybe we'll semi-retire it and we'll bring it back. But tell us who we forgot, or I'm sure after the show ends, Mike will text me in like a half hour and tell me like 6 guys that we could have. Cam, it's good to have a day off. No? Anything?
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
All right. Well, if this doesn't make you want to listen to the rest of the show, I'm not sure what will. Stick around. Sons of UCF. We're back right after this.
Mike and Adam, Sons of UCF. That'll move those chains. That's good enough for another UCF first down.
All right, the moment we've been waiting for, Mike. It's been long rumored, and there's been a lot of speculation. But probably the biggest news we heard this past week was we finally know who is opting out on the season. So here's a couple things that we, haven't changed much. The schedule still is what it is. As everything stands right now, September 19th, 3:30 Eastern Standard Time, the Georgia Tech Ramblin' Wreck will be hosting us in the UCF Knights. So that is still on the schedule. We'll see what happens. There was a game this weekend, or maybe this upcoming weekend. Mike, TCU pulled out of a game because they had some people not testing. I'm not saying Georgia Tech's in that boat. I'm just saying that this is how tenuous this stuff is. So nothing's changed on the scheduling front. I know there's a lot of people clamoring still for a 10th game, but nothing nearly new there. The BYU rumors seem to have fizzled out. There's a small movement on Twitter trying to get that thing back together. But as of right now, it seems like that thing is not going anywhere, Mike. So we're standing pat at 9, and now we know who will be playing for those 9. So let me read these names for you quickly, and then we can talk through. Probably the biggest name and the name that we all knew, Tay Gowan has opted out. Surprising name, perhaps, Daryl Mack has opted out. Mason Chiloa has opted out. Kalia Davis, Devontae Dawson, Elijah Benoit, Alan Adams, Adrian Medley, Ladarius Benson, and Kendrick Wilson. So those are the 10 players that have opted out. This actually got a lot of news, Mike. It was all over. I saw ESPN had it. I saw SI had it. I don't know if it's the sheer number of players or because it was UCF, but first things first, obviously anything on this list surprised you? I mean, I think we knew a little bit about it already, but biggest surprise or anything that surprised you when this came out?
Surprising, no, because we follow this pretty closely. We've kind of heard the rumors for a few weeks now about Gowan and even Mack, and how Quadri Jones has kind of passed Mack on the depth chart. Whether that played into it or not, maybe. Or maybe Mack just had his mind made up. You know, he's also a new – both those guys are fathers to brand new babies the last few months or in the last year. So you understand their concerns health-wise. Mack will still have a couple years of eligibility now, so he can go somewhere and be a starter for somebody and still go on with his professional career, maybe make a name for himself and go on to the NFL. Gowan has already declared himself for the draft. He's ready to go now. So in their eyes, they're doing what's best for them and what's best for their families, and good for them. Anybody that's going to attack those guys for doing what they think is best, then that's pretty stupid to do. But the other guys on the list, a lot of them are, contributors. Some guys not as much. The thing that hit me was it's offensive and defensive line guys. Mm-hmm. A lot of them. Pretty much the rest of that list is offensive and defensive line guys, and that's where we really need depth, and that's what may end up hurting us in the long run.
Well, if you think about it from a safety standpoint, if you're a quarterback like Daryl Mack, again, he's obviously got situations outside of football, so I'm just talking football only. No one's touching you most of the game, right? If you're Tay Gowan, you're probably not getting touched a bunch. But when you play on the line, Mike, every play, you are running face first into another dude who has got blood and sweat and spit and Lord knows what else all over him or his jersey. And so I guess it's not surprising when you think about the amount of contact those guys are going to be under basically every single play, that perhaps they have some reservations, or they want to be extra sure. The two guys we kind of heard rumors about Chalia and Davis, but those two are to me, Mike, those are big losses, because while the D line and Shane Burnham and the Randy Shannon rotate those guys like a NASCAR pit crew in there, it certainly did last season have a lot of moments for Chalia and Davis to play and to play well, and they were big contributors a few different times throughout the season. So that one surprised me a little bit. I don't know. I mean, we'll talk a little bit about depth chart coming up here, but I think to your point, that hurts from a depth standpoint for sure.
Absolutely. That's still the position where we're not sure. We have guys that are emerging now. Tremont Morris-Brash had a big freshman year. He looks like he's ready to go. Randy Charlton's been developing the last couple of years. The whole defensive line was a question mark going into last season. This year, we were a little more familiar with the guys, but still no breakout superstars. It's not like our wide receiver group or our running backs group, where we know for sure the main guys. There's still a chance that there's people on this defensive line that we're not that familiar with that can still be big contributors. Or some of these guys that are opting out, they could have been those guys.
Well, the interesting thing, obviously, so for those who aren't aware, don't recall, this is basically a free year for everybody. So this is really a year that does not count against eligibility for anybody. So in theory, everybody's got a redshirt this year. So one of the main questions becomes, okay, of these individuals, Is this a precursor to them leaving the program? Is this, something that's going on obviously in their lives? You touched on Gowan, who's already declared for the draft. Daryl Mack hasn't made any long-term intentions, but one would think that with Dylan Gabriel, with Quadri Jones, with Park Navarro, and a new QB signee, or not signee, I guess, verbal commit this week, Mike, a guy named Mikey Keene, also from the Arizona area, has verbally committed to UCF. So those are 4 guys younger than Daryl Mack, essentially. Actually, I don't know how old Quadri is. They're probably right around the same age, but those are 4 guys who have got some youth on them. That if I'm Daryl Mack, I got to go in now and beat out these 4 young guys. It's a crowded room, so maybe the writing's on the wall. I saw UCF Probs had posted something on Twitter, essentially saying, "Hey, some of these guys are going to be coming back. Don't worry about it." Kalia Davis responded back to that and said, "Yeah, I'm coming back." Devontae Dawson responded and said, "Yeah, I'm coming back." I didn't see anybody else responding back on that list, Mike. So who knows what Chalia's long-term prospects would be. And again, the 3 linemen, Allen Adams, Adrian Medley, who was he was a pretty big recruit, Mike. He was the kid, I think he went to Texas A&M or committed to A&M and then changed his mind. So I guess we'll see. But do you think this is a precursor for any of these guys to step away from the program long-term?
It's hard to tell. The guys that already came out and said I'll be back, I guess we got to take them for their word. The guys who haven't said anything, they may be back also. They just don't want to say anything. That's the whole wild card in this situation. So the guys that we assume are gone, like Mac, he probably will not be back. But these other guys, they might be. And we're just going to have to find out. And maybe they haven't even made up their minds yet. Maybe they're waiting to see what's happening. Maybe some of this had to do with playing time and they just wanted to sit a year out and they knew they weren't going to play much this year. Or maybe they actually have legitimate concerns about their health and they don't want to risk themselves for this season. So they don't have to tell us why. They have the option to do it, and they're using the opt-out this year, and they're free to do it. So we just have to respect that decision for now.
Well, the good news about this, Mike, is it allows us to get in on a yearly tradition here around UCF. Is we get to climb on the guy who declares for the draft early. Usually, we got to wait to the end of the year for this stuff, but Tate Gowan's given us the opportunity to do it sooner than normal, right? So as soon as Tate Gowan announced, by the way, hey, I'm going to the draft. There are certainly any number of faux draft pundits out there in UCF land who were critical of that decision, who had their opinions or their thoughts on that decision, Mike. Obviously, we only saw Tay for 1 season. Prior to that, he played at Butler Community College, which is part of the community college scene there in Kansas. If you watch Last Chance U, he's one of the schools that school that was featured played against. We only saw him for 1 season. And obviously, cornerback position is tough to assess. If you're not getting the ball thrown to you, is that good or bad? Who knows? But Mike, your thoughts on Tate Gowan opting out and again going to the draft?
He's one of these guys that's always thought he was good enough to play in the NFL, and nothing has changed his mind. For me, last year he had a very good year, and I would have loved to see him for another year this year. I don't think he proved to us that he's definitely an NFL talent. He may end up being that. But we've seen guys come through here and declare early and not make it to the NFL. Jacoby Glenn, I believe, did that early. He looked like he was a very good defensive back. And he left after, I think, his sophomore year. He had a redshirt year, and then he played 2 years, and he was out.
Yep.
And we all know about Snelson leaving early and not making the roster either. So he's taking a chance. He could have had another year on film, really had a bust-out season and made it no doubt to be a draft pick. But he has enough confidence in himself that's all he really needs, and that's what he's going to go with.
Yeah, last year he 31 tackles, 2 INTs. He also had 8 passes defended and a fumble recovery. He stepped in, obviously, when Brandon Moore went out and played solid. Mike, again, DB numbers are always tough because, sometimes you don't get the ball thrown at you. I know he had been kind of talking about his slogan, Gowan Island, which is kind of a normal cornerback thing. Jacoby Glenn did play in the league for a few years, and obviously, I'm sure Tate Gowan will certainly continue to train and do all the things he's got to do. He was on the Senior Bowl watch list, so I assume he can still get an invite to that, Mike. I don't know how that works. That's interesting. If these guys opt out, do they still get a chance to go participate in some of that stuff after he's declared? I'm not sure how that works. Sure. Obviously, we can all say, hey, it'd be great to have another year on tape. Obviously, Tay must be hearing things or have some understanding of some things that lead him to think this is the right call for him.